What's going on, everyone? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing, and we're getting ready right now for our live stream here, 9 o'clock in the morning Eastern time for the New York session. Big day ahead, FOMC, although it might be a non-event. There could be some surprises, and if you're just joining us on the replay, glad you're here. Welcome. Now, when I say let's look at the calendar first, we have today the FOMC. We have some minor medium impact news events to get out of the way beforehand. And then we have the press conference at 12:30. Now it's during the press conference that Powell could be asked a couple different things. He could be asked about the recent expansion of the Fed's balance sheet, and depending on how he answers, the market could see a reaction from that. As well as he'll probably be very cautious and conservative around questions around the coronavirus, which should not cause a market reaction. Unless there's a slip up by Powell here regarding the expansion of the balance sheet, this probably could be a non-event, but you never know. We have the dollar DXY trading all the way up, making new highs here. Trading at 98.19. It has the euro down towards support right now. Let's take a look. Euro's coming right into the support right now. Is it possible it blows through before the Fed meets? Anything's possible in this market right now. Sanjay, DJ, Mima, Blair, let's bleed right. Tico, good morning, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. What's happening right now? So we definitely have yen strength. China said that their GDP was going to be drastically affected by the coronavirus. That might be the reason why we're seeing New Zealand dollar very, very weak this morning. And the Australian dollar shook off bad news. Came right into where this was the area we had yesterday. Came right up into this resistance and off it so far. So we'll see. Here on the Australian dollar, the euro, Australian dollar, we were also looking for this level to hold. Price came down right into it, and so far is trading up. Everything seems to be going according to plan right now, but there's a big unknown in the market. That unknown is what is the Fed going to do and how is the Fed going to react? So we'll take a look around in just a moment. Mark, morning. Start off here with the US dollar, Swiss franc, and US dollar's got quite a bid to it. Looks like you just took out some stops over here. That is a possible sign. Maybe we're going to reverse down. We still have a little bit we're right into resistance right here. If we reverse down, and definitely even if you get down below this resistance here, this looks pretty good to the short side here. I have no idea how the dollar is going to react today off the Fed. We're going to have to watch the price action and see. US dollar, Canadian dollar took an entry over here yesterday, but doesn't look to be going so well. Definitely testing back up here. We're going to need the dollar to reverse for this trade to fall into favor. If you're in the trade, you have to have your stop right above this last resistance and the last swing high. Because if you get stopped out, better to wait and take another look up here. Rustin, is that happening right now, or did it happen overnight? Gold's being gold. Not too much to say there. I don't know what kind of look we're going to get here. Obviously, coming into the Fed right now, is it possible the dollar is hitting this support right now and going to trade up? I mean, it's possible, but the market's funky right now. You don't want to get caught on the wrong side here. If we break, there are times when, even though you expect prices to stabilize going into an event, they could just keep leading. So I don't know. Australian dollar is in a very precarious place right here, testing down the support. This is acting exactly as we thought it was going to be. All right, trading down below here, things get a little dicey and rough. Um, I, I don't. Does anyone have any thoughts? What type of reaction we're gonna get off the FOMC? We have tomorrow on the pound US. Look at the pound US dollar first. Uh, Trading off. We have the Bank of England tomorrow. What time is that? 7 a.m. It's pretty good. Uh, I have no idea, but things are not looking so bright right now for the pound. I don't know how the bank is going to react. I don't know how prices are going to react. I'm short right now, still the pound Japanese yen, and I'm holding that. And you know, I'm hoping I get a favorable reaction here. Also holding the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, and also have added to it now. I'm going to continue holding. Hopefully, best case scenario is things turn around for the coronavirus here, but it's already done its damage to the Chinese economy. If you see, I saw a video of Beijing this morning. The streets are absolutely empty. There's nobody in them. That means nobody's working. You know, hopefully the virus gets contained, but right now it's still spreading exponentially every day. Rustin, I saw an article on Forex Live this morning saying that they lowered the odds of the cut as well. Thanks for pointing that out. I'm gonna keep watching the calendar. So far, I checked after I saw that, and right now that it's still having it priced in a cut. I don't know if that's going to be updated before Monday. I also don't know what the central bank is thinking. So here's what I was thinking when I read that is that they're going to be forward looking. Then if they don't cut this time, they're going to be expecting a cut in one of the upcoming meetings. So that's also going to weigh on the pair, even whether they cut or not. The time that it gets really funky is when a bank cuts, but it's their last cut that they're projecting in the cycle. That's when in the situation when you can see a currency actually appreciate on a cut because the market's looking forward and the market knows it's the last cut. If they don't cut here, the market's going to be looking to when are they going to cut, and it's going to probably be in one of the upcoming sessions. Uh, there's not a lot of reason to buy Aussie dollars down here. But that's not to say that, and that's not, I have no idea the dollar reaction we're going to see today. And it's not to say that we don't get another look at resistance up here before we break down here. I think by next week we break down here. That's just my opinion. I have a position on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. I don't on the Australian dollar, US dollar. No, Boris, I didn't take the trade on the New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar. Looks good. And the only reason I didn't, Boris, is I have two big open trades on the pound Japanese yen um, from Friday, holding that trade. And then I also have two trades open on the Australian dollar Japanese yen. So again, I take about 3 trades a week. I wasn't looking to jump in front of the New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar, but it's a great setup. Euro Australian dollar too. I like it. I'm not taking it though. US dollar, Japanese yen is still kind of battling it out here. These guys are between support and resistance. And we're still dealing with two strong currencies over here. And meanwhile, I also saw that in Germany they had the first outside of China spread of the virus from person to person. So this was the first spread of the virus person to person outside of um of China. My biggest concern and worry is though all over um in Africa, in all over Latin America. Um I don't know how well they're able to diagnose the symptoms of the virus to contain it. There could be tons of cases or several cases, and again those several cases grow exponentially that the world is just unaware of right now. I think we're far from being out of woods. I think the hope right now is that within a week the exponential rise slows down, and that will be a great sign to look forward to. I want to get a look at the market, but I'm not really obviously interested in taking new positions ahead of the FOMC, right? So um, if anyone is interested in something or looking something and wants to take a look at levels, let's do that. We're testing down here support at the New Zealand dollar, US dollar. Important support. US dollar pairs continue to be at really important levels. Let's take a look at the DXY, and she's still got some room before she hits some hard resistance. So it's possible we make another leg lower, right? So you have the Australian dollar, US dollar at this really important level. You have the Euro US dollar at this important level. You have what's going on with the pound. Pound's holding up all right. It's got a while to go before it hits an important level. New Zealand dollar, US dollar is at an important level. So I don't really have an edge here. I'm quite neutral. I'm holding my open positions. I'm not looking or thinking of lightening up on them or getting rid of them at this point. Um, but that's about it. I, you know, 90% long on the pound Japanese yen. I like that, Rustin. Being I'm short from a pretty comfortable place, and so the projection is for them to be on hold. Where we're at right here. And so again, all I could do is watch how price reacts off the announcement because I have no idea how it's going to react. Um, Again, is if they hold, is the market just going to be forward looking at the next set of data out of the pound? Are they going to be looking for when the bank will cut if they don't cut this time? My gut is still that they cut. Um, we'll see. Euro traded all the way up overnight during Asia. Didn't even make it into the top of this resistance, then sold off hard. Dollar is just a monster right now. The US equities, the futures, which open up in about 18 minutes, are pointed higher again. Um, so what are they going to do? Are they going to trade up higher into the FOMC, expecting Powell to be dovish? I, I don't think Powell is going to be dovish, and I think that there's a decent chance the market sell off later in the afternoon. But let's see. Obviously, I'm not trading them. That's my base case. WTI, WTI came up into the resistance, and so far has been rejecting off of it. I don't know. Too soon to tell here. What's going on, Chris? Chris, your Australian dollars are going down. A lot of traders think so. I don't think so. You get below this area over here and you close below, okay, we're definitely coming into the support. Why we're above there, um, I'd be careful. I think we're going up. You get below here, then I think we're coming down into the support. I prefer personally buying Japanese yen in this environment, and the only reason is, of course, oil should continue to trade down on a slowdown in the global economy, but the Middle East is kind of like a pretty hot powder keg right now, and in any second that could go off, right? And if and when that does, oil could spike up back towards the highs pretty quickly. There's a lot of room up there, and just like here, the attack on from Iran, this could be it become a selling opportunity, but that's if the Middle East tensions escalate, Japanese yen strengthens. If there's no on oil, if nothing happens in the Middle East, oil is trading down. Something happens in the Middle East, oil spiking up. Seems really, really, it's a little bit risky. Tensions are tight over there. Supposedly, Rustin was just saying there was another attack on oil fields this morning. Yeah. Let's look at the pound Canadian dollar. All right. So the hard thing here, Mima, is as you're coming down off this resistance back into the support. Is anything going to happen in the next in the next 23 hours before the Bank of England, 22 hours before the Bank of England gives their decision? I'm not sure. If I took the trade off of here, off the resistance here, I think I would be more inclined to take profits, even though I'm holding a short on the pound. There seems to be pretty strong support here. Uh, I'm not sure there. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Riyadh, welcome. Let's see what's going on here. Euro trading down towards its lows. We got the U.S. equities opening in just 10 minutes. I will be 30 seconds. All right. So, as you guys could kind of tell this morning, I am pretty neutral going into the FOMC. I don't really have an idea of what's going to happen. I'm just kind of focused in on the charts. holding my open positions, and would really like to get your guys' thoughts of what you expect to be happening. I'm interested if anyone has an opinion here on the dollar, um, on what they expect the reaction in the markets is going to be from the FOMC. If anyone has an opinion here on the euro, US dollar, you know, we're breaking through this area of support here. Are we going to hold? Um, Obviously, I'm always sharing the insight I have, and but right now I'm very neutral. So if anyone has any thoughts, it would be awesome to talk about. A good question about the U.S. indices, which open about 10 minutes. So I mean, listen, my gut instinct is we roll over here. I don't think the markets get what they're looking for from Powell today. But listen, the lesson learned yesterday was, and I've said it so many times, it's really hard shorting the indices, right? And look what happened yesterday. This is a huge bit, 1.2% move up. Um, I think there's a lot easier money to be made than shorting the indices, and um, I don't know, but I do think over here, um, I think by the end of the day we're trading lower. The only way you mean what would make me wrong would be if Powell came out just uber dovish, but the market's expecting him to be dovish. I think they're going to be disappointed. Nasdaq was up 1.5% yesterday. US dollar, Japanese yen is sincerely just in a battle, and not only are they in a battle right now, they are there's no edge either way. They're in no man's land between support and resistance, and you have two strong currencies, uh, both almost at a stalemate at this moment. Leonard, I absolutely definitely would not be looking to take any trades this morning. For those of you are, um, trading, really short time frames, if we break down over here before on the Australian dollar, US dollar, if you see us breaking down sometime in the next hour, then there could be some extended moves even before the Fed. Um, Dollar continues to push higher. I'm definitely not taking or looking to take any trades, obviously until overnight, and even then, I'm still not. I'm going to be looking at my pound Japanese yen during the rate decision. I don't want to give up my Australian dollar, Japanese yen. We would have to trade above this resistance over here for me to be concerned and exit. Uh, only people who think that the Fed is going to come in there and supply a bunch of liquidity and maybe cut rates, but yeah, I mean they're crazy. Silver, yeah, I'm not saying that the U.S. dollar can't win this tug of war. I'm just saying they're at a stalemate. Good entry down here off support, 1894. But right now, there's no edge. If you're holding the position long from down here and you're into profit, exactly as Blair said, right? But silver. That's where I am at too, Reb. I really don't play strength versus strength. There's a little edge. Play strength versus weakness. That definitely good, great piece of insight. Um, let's step back here. Take a look at silver. I mean, in the long term, I think you want to, similar to gold, you want to own both gold and silver. Uh, in the end, gold. I mean, silver is going to appreciate more than gold most likely. But as far as looking at what's going on here, and if this is a buy the dipper opportunity or we're going down lower, um, I think. Well, I have no idea. First, let me be clear about that. Make this really bright. If we did trade down towards here, I think that I'm not saying that we're going to, but if we did, I think I would be a little more inclined to step in and take a chance here. Um, this obviously was a big down candle yesterday. That's not such a great sign, but into a bit of supply and support. So it's possible this holds over here. I don't really see an edge or clarity. Yeah, I mean, I think looking for setups with the Swiss franc against the Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar over the next week or two is definitely a good place to focus. Let's take a look at those charts right now. Anyway, let's see. This is Australian dollar, Swiss franc. Um, yeah, I mean, we were talking about across the board. Any spike in the Australian dollar on any pair last night was an opportunity to get short, right? So that did happen. We didn't start making lower lows here though, where you would get into an entry. So this still looks good coming into that resistance, and if it comes off, right, that looks pretty decent. Now, getting into a trade today before the FOMC, I don't like that idea. That's not to say we can't see a strong reaction from both the yen and the Swiss franc today. If we do, I think the stronger reaction will be on the yen today after the FOMC. I think the best move right now is to be on the sidelines if you're not into a trade. This is the New Zealand dollar Swiss franc. Uh, this also came up towards resistance and is backing off. I mean, you're basically right at where you could be for entry. Um, but I don't know what the market reaction is going to be at all from the FOMC. It's just sincerely, I think the best trade right now is just to wait for the clarity. If anyone does have any clarity, bring my attention to it so that I could just look at it. I'm interested, but I think that right now Bitcoin looks really good. Of course, it's why it's consolidating between this support and this resistance here towards the highs here. It looks really good. My gut has been that we break above. Let's see what's going on, Hanero. We're just talking about if anyone has any type of for me, I'm definitely aside from my open positions, I'm not looking to enter new positions right now. I'm looking for a lot more clarity in what happens. There's a huge unknown ahead of my head. How the market's going to react off the FOMC today, if it's going to react. I don't have any type of insight or edge. I mean, longer term perspective, not longer term, even like near term, as in over the next week. It's for me, look to sell any rallies against the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, against the Japanese yen. If you're looking at the Swiss franc or US dollar, I see that also. But I think the yen is I mean, the yen is the strength right now. Yeah, yeah, definitely, 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 Reb. Yeah, 100. I expect that's going to happen. That's my base case. Um, I'm not looking to let go of these positions until I'm proven wrong. Um, and I agree with that 100%. I and 100%. I'm with you all. Um, and that's and I'm also aware that it's possible we're at such important levels here across the board, um, on U.S. dollar pairs, that we could get a breakdown before the FOMC. Right, just be aware if anyone is in any of those positions. Yeah, I don't even think the Fed is in a position where it needs to even consider a strong dollar. I think we got to be trading back all the way up here, and then you would see obviously President Trump going bonkers about the strong dollar. Um, the breakout here continues to look pretty good. This is definitely a pretty heavy area though of resistance and supply. So we'll see what happens as price gets into it. Whether or not we make it straight up to there, there's the possibility we come down, test this support, or even right here at 97, 93 before making it up there. But I think soon enough we'll be trading up here. I think so too. That's definitely I'm with you, Panero. That's the base case. Um, just always, I train myself to expect the unexpected, right? So the base case is that these levels hold going into the FOMC, and then what happens, I have no idea. But just be ready in case they don't. That's all. Market market's opening right now, just a couple of minutes ago. No follow through right off the opening. Bit of a muted reaction. Oh, there you go. A little bit of actually a move on the open. I haven't even read, any thoughts of banks and whatnot going into the FOMC. I am aware that probably from headlines that the market is looking for and expecting a dovish Fed. I think that's this move right here. But again, my inkling is that they don't get it, and we sell off. It's difficult. I mean, it's a dollar story. The dollar's so strong, and anytime that the euro trades up, it has trouble holding for very long. Listen, the fact is the swap is pretty tough. Right? I mean, obviously, with trading the euro long is no problem if you're holding it, anywhere from up until a week or two. It's not even a problem. But if you start position trading the US dollar, the swamp does add up. Altra, good morning. Bro, I'm sorry that you guys could hear that. I don't mean to, but I've become immune with 5 kids, with 4 under 3.5. I've become immune to it. Well, I read about that story too, and sure, he was spoofing. You know, I think he was facing a pretty severe sentence for what happened. The guy was trading out of his parents' house, um, and the amount of manipulation that goes on in the markets. I mean, this guy was not at the forefront, so definitely glad he already spent a good amount of time in jail waiting for see if he was going to be extradited to the U.S. It's been a terrible situation. Thank God that he got off. And is there spoofing in Forex? The Forex market. You talk $5 to $7 trillion trades hands a day. Um, you're talking about central banks trading in the market. I don't know. You know, I don't know. I think the market's too big. I think the market's too big. I mean, we love our kids. We definitely are they're the joy of our lives. We're so happy. Lojun, we have the Australian dollar, US dollar trading at some pretty big support. Let me try to pull this up right here. And just let me step back first, give you a look on the daily. All right, you can see this. This is pretty heavy support. She's trading at it. Do you want to buy off the support? Look, if we bounce here off the support, I think it's going to be limited. And I think you're looking to sell any bounces on the Australian dollar right now. I think we're going to break below this support. I'm not saying we're going to break it today, but I think relatively soon we're going to break the support here. Australian dollar is so highly correlated to the Chinese economy. They are seeing a slowdown. Um, we have huge risk off in the market. Be very careful here. This is a very counter trend trade. It doesn't really make sense. What makes sense was, like we said, any spikes, sell any spikes. Any opportunity in this area over here will be a gift, I think. This is pretty strong resistance right now. I'm not saying we even make it up there. This might be the high. Who knows? But although you can make a few pips maybe to the upside, that's a tough trade. You're trading one of the weakest currencies in this current environment against one of the strongest the wrong way. All right. So by doing the opposite, by actually trading with strength against weakness, you have much higher probability of things working out in your favor. In this case, you would be trading one of the weakest currencies, Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, weakest currencies, US dollar, Japanese yen, Swiss franc, strongest currencies in this environment. So no need to step in and be a hero for a low probability trade that you might make a few pips on. Vicky, spoofing is if you're looking at an order book where it's showing all the buy orders and all the sell orders. Like you have like pretend this is the order. No, I can't give you a good example here. You have wherever the market price is right now, and above that you have sell orders, and below that you have buy orders. Spoofing is when people put fake orders, like for example, to buy really large size trades. So it looks like buyers are coming into the market, and then as the trades come close to triggering, they pull them away. So they were never meant to trade. So it's giving everyone else a false sense of the market. So it's called spoofing. Spoofing is posting large fake orders that are never meant to be filled and are pulled away. And this gets traders on the wrong side of the market. If you see large buy orders, you say, oh, people are coming in to buy the market. Let me get in here. But then they pull those orders and sell the market on you. Yeah, so that's a good point. And where would a bullish confirmation be? So again, just to drop back to the daily. So we're in a huge downtrend. Once we broke out of this trend line over here, this was a bullish confirmation, especially after the test of the broken resistance as support. And this was a good place to take longs. All in this area, but now we've broken back below this broken resistance, which was support. It failed, and now we're testing down towards this huge support down here. This looks very bad. You have to get back at very least above this trend line over here to begin looking for longs, and ideally above this one right here. I'm going to make this one even darker, just so remember. Right, back above here. Okay, now you could really start looking to the long side, but below this trend line, you can't look for anything except shorting. And you're at support right now, and I like the fact that you see support. But like Reb just said, you're looking to pick a bottom, and instead of picking bottoms, just sell any retraces. And even if you got there's you could get are not we know all these pairs are trading at support. Obviously the base case going into the FMC that we don't break down and that we do trade up a little bit, and then who knows what happens on the FOMC. Like if you bought here, you could get lucky. And I mean, heck, you could even there's 50 pips up into this strong resistance, but it's a low probability trade and it just doesn't work out in the long run. You need to train your brain to change your mindset into putting things into your favor instead of taking the risky things. Why trade weakness versus strength, right? Trade strength versus weakness. Why pick bottoms when you could sell retraces? You just want to change your whole thinking. And the truth is, I don't know if it's human nature or whatever the case is. You know, many traders try to do it. It's just where the natural instinct is, and you need to really understand that it doesn't work for a reason, and you got to just switch your mindset. So bad things happen in the market is humans have a tendency also to remember the occurrences that worked in their favor. So later today, if you see the Australian dollar, US dollar trading up here, you're gonna be like, oh, see, I should have bought it. No, you should not buy it, right? Even if you trade up into here, even if we bounce from here to here, you should not have bought it because it's a low probability trade. It's a risky trade, and in the long term, it's not how you're going to make money. My thoughts on the U.S. dollar, Japanese yen is, and I thought it was Reb who also said, I don't know, don't play. Why play strength versus strength? And the US dollar and the Japanese yen are two of the strongest currencies in this period, not just today, but ever since this virus outbreak, right? And both are extremely strong. And you could see the war. This is resistance. This is support. They're dead center, right? They're two strong currencies are battling, and no one's winning. So there's no edge. Where the edge is playing strong currencies, either one of these, versus weak currencies. Looks like the market is now settling in until wait mode. Blair has noted that the WHO is expected to speak in probably a little over an hour right now. Um, I think you have to lean towards them upgrading their assessment, right, from the last time, which since they've gone on record saying that they made a mistake. So be prepared for safe haven reaction on that, unless the market already knows. So your euro New Zealand dollar, I definitely lean towards the buy side here. above this support over here. This is where we were looking for an entry. It still continues to look good, and I think you got to get below this support, which is definitely holding successfully right now. You'd have to get below and test it to begin looking for shorts. Um, right now, I definitely would favor the euro over the New Zealand dollar. And again, I don't think that's a short-term thing. I think that this has the ability to extend. Just so I think you are short time frame minded, so it's a little different. I'm going to look at that on the intraday in 1 second. I'm definitely lean bullish here. You're above the support. It's holding well. Um, I don't see any reason, to pick the top over there. On the 4 hour, even see you wrote that, Mark. I mean, definitely above this support here. Taking out this resistance here, obviously there was a fake into that resistance, but we're broken above right now, and while we're trading above, I definitely lean towards the long side here. What's going on? You got wrecked. That's been a pretty big game changer on the euro. Pressure continues to stay on the dollar. And then also you got wrecked the inverse head and shoulders on the DXY. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. I mean, I was just looking at simply the bull flag. Tough trading over here, though. Really lots of work. Lots of work over here. This was not easy at all. Not until you got above here. We got 1 hour to that WHO press conference Blair was talking about. I would definitely lean towards Japanese yen strength continuing off of that. The pound, Australian dollar. The pound has a big event tomorrow. The Bank of England is it's I guess the market's leaning toward them holding interest rates, but there's the possibility that they cut interest rates. So there's a high impact news event on the pound. Pound Australian dollar obviously looks very bullish over here. Above this support looks bullish. Not only that, you could see this other area over here, and this is with it's just the Australian dollar is very weak. It's not that the pound is even strong right now, which it's not. It's that the Australian dollar is very weak. Um, and I imagine that under this environment, unless there's a rate cut in the pound and the pound sells off, I think any opportunity back towards this support over here would probably be a buying opportunity. Any retrace on this, I think, is a buying opportunity. Good focusing on the Australian dollar because it's really weak in this environment, and that does not look to be improving anytime soon. But you know, there seems to be stronger currencies than the pound at this point. Um, but just looks really bullish. The only really thing to be concerned about is the central bank rate decision tomorrow, which definitely could affect this pair. And my risk is to the downside. I think that's a good question. And before we even get there, you got wrecked. That's a really good point about those stops down there, and I think so too. Um, really, really good, astute point. Um, so what's key? So I don't think it's necessarily rates. First of all, if the rates are kept on hold on the U.S., even if the Fed starts cutting rates on the US dollar, the rates are still higher in the US than elsewhere, right? Um, that's one. Number two, if they hold them, that continues to give the dollar the edge as far as the rates are concerned. But what's going on with the US dollar is actually not even just the fact that this right now is safe haven flow. You know, Swiss franc, Japanese yen, US dollar, you know, coronavirus, you're seeing that in full effect. This is also a lot more structurally a thing. So because of the US dollar being the reserve currency here, um, people need dollars. There's a demand for dollars. Ultimately, obviously, the end game on the dollar looks like a pretty big devaluation, but probably before that happens, the dollar gets a lot stronger, right? Trump could tweet out to whatever the reaction of the Fed today is, but Trump's tweeting when the dollar's up here, right? Is he going to ask the Fed to be a little more accommodative? Probably, but the last couple of meetings, Trump has been quiet. Actually, ever since Chairman Powell went and met Trump privately in the White House, uh, you know, it looks like they might have come to an understanding because Trump hasn't been vocal. So I think what we're seeing now is a safe haven flows, and that's again U.S. dollar, Japanese yen. I don't see that happening. There's definitely the possibility after this big move at some point we come back down and retrace, whether that's here right now or that's up into this resistance over here. um I don't know, but I've always said if we break out to the upside of this bull flag, I expect there's a good chance we come back up and are at least testing up here, and I still believe that. Let's see what happens after the WHO press conference, specifically on the, well, both Australian dollar, US dollar, Australian dollar, Japanese yen. I'm not sure. You know what? Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be glued to my computer during that time. If anyone's interested, I'll definitely jump on. Nice, Blair. That was the base case, right? Look for a pop on the Australian dollar on data, and then look to fade any move. Good job. Yeah, it's an asset to all of us, Reb. Yen is so strong. Look at this pop here on the pound US dollar, and uh pound Japanese yen not buying it right now. So Blair, I mean, everything's easier in hindsight. Um, but I'm always thinking and always reviewing what I do. Yesterday I was going for a walk, and I was thinking about you know, so I don't want to throw anyone off here at all. I'm very disciplined, and the only reason I'm disciplined is because I know that the only way to be consistent, to consistently make money, is to be disciplined. And once you see something working, believe me, you have no problem sticking with it. right? Now, I am also a big student of the markets and of uh, you know investors. One of my favorite investors is Stanley Druckenmiller. Stanley Druckenmiller has a phenomenal track record of over 30% for 30 years. He was the guy who came up with the trade against the pound that took down the Bank of England, but it was George Soros who was his boss and said to him, "Hey, listen, you need to go much bigger here." And Stanley Druckenmiller, he said that what he learned from George Soros the most is now these type of guys trade a lot different, right? They go in really big, right? Soros and Druckenmiller, and they also get out and change their minds in a second. All right. Um, for example, Druckenmiller was really bullish on commodity currencies going into the new year. For sure, he no longer is. Right? He's able. This guy doesn't care about being wrong. He's able to change his mind with big positions on in a second. But he said the best thing he ever learned from George Soros is when you are sure about something to go big. Now, over here, come on Friday when I saw the situation, I traded outside of my wheelhouse, meaning my normal trading. First of all, on the entry, and second of all, on the size. I took a big position here and a big position here, and I'm holding them, and I'm not looking to give them up unless I'm proven wrong on them. Especially now, managing them from a position of profit, but I'm in no rush to give them up because of the situation uh, as far as the virus is concerned. Right? This we could still be in the beginning innings of all of this, and the only way I'm getting out of these trades if I'm stopped out towards entry, and if I am, I don't even mind giving back the profit because if I keep holding them and things keep developing and they go into my favor, they I mean they can make my whole year. And the thing is that these type of things happen, but not too often. Definitely once or twice a year. Is it that clear? But again, I don't want to throw anyone off their game. You know, before you focus on anything like that, you have to learn to be able to day in and day out, do what you need to do in order, to be putting up that consistency. Just this, I do too. Over trading down, which you know that's what we were looking for. But what the lesson we learned yesterday, it's not easy getting in front of the markets, right? So I think the markets are disappointed by Powell here, and I think the indices trade off. That's about the only clear thing I saw today. If I was trading them, I would have been looking on the open here to get short. Right now, I wouldn't chase after it. You also see here too. You see the pound, as Scenario pointed out, trading up a bit here. The euro trading off its lows here a little bit, and the Australian dollar uh, on its lows. You know, just really enforcing strength versus weakness. Pound Australian dollar looks really bullish, but you have the Central Bank of England meeting tomorrow. Um, the surprise there would be if they cut rates. They're expected to be on hold. If they cut rates, you could see a big depreciation versus the pound. It's not really worth getting involved in a pair that has such uncertainty over it. Good to be playing against the Australian dollar, but the strength in the markets is U.S. dollar, it's Japanese yen, more Japanese yen, and also Swiss franc. I think that if we get a surprise rate cut and you see the pounds come off versus the Australian dollar, whether it's into the support, if this support holds, excellent entry for a long. If this support breaks, look down to the next level right around here. If that holds, excellent level to get long. Anything will be any against the pound Australian dollar, any retrace over here will be a good opportunity. I think over the next couple of weeks to be long this pair, but I don't think here today is the good move with the uncertainty of the central bank meeting tomorrow. And you have that tomorrow at 7 a.m. Eastern time. Gold is moving up as the dollar comes off a little bit. Gold held. Remember, guys, just look at the dollar. This is the dollar since since the new year, and the dollar has been straight up. Now look at gold since the new year. This is right here. Gold is also straight up. With the strong dollar, gold has also been very strong. So now if the dollar does come off a little bit here, I expect gold to rise, right? If with such a strong dollar, gold was trading stronger than the dollar, gold is also a safe haven play here. The gold is a play against the current madness of the central banks, the deficits of the U.S. It's also against the situation in the Middle East, and it's also against the current global environment or China slowdown. Um, so, trading against gold, I don't see that. And but more than a trading vehicle, I see gold as it needs to be a core position of your portfolio. Yeah, if you had $100 to your name, you got to have at least $10 of that in gold, plain and simple. Yeah, Bitcoin's a monster. Bitcoin's being Bitcoin. I think there's a good chance. I don't know how long we consolidate in here at all, whether it's a very short time or it's a long time. But as long as we hold this level, I really think Bitcoin is going to be breaking out to the upside. You have this Friday the expiration of the CEME futures, or it could be Thursday, it could be tomorrow. It's tomorrow or Friday, I'm not sure. And normally you see Bitcoin sell off into those. Maybe this is the time it doesn't happen. I would not be looking to short Bitcoin here. Uh, Everyone knows my feelings there. Is this I don't know, to be honest, Honero. I don't know if Bitcoin is just being Bitcoin or if it's a safe haven play right now. I honestly don't know. We're about right here, right? As long as we hold above this is 6,000, 5,800, this bottom of this yellow box, then the thesis of Bitcoin remains alive. And we are about 1 year from now from being probably somewhere around where my mouse is right now, from about $50,000. I don't know if it's news or it's just, listen, we're trading at the highs over here coming into the FOMC. I don't know. We saw everything on the US dollar at pretty strong, important supports, and I was ready to see if they break to the downside. I mean, I was expecting them to hold, but ready for them to break as you have to be. So far, they look to be holding. I don't know how the Australian dollar's doing. It seems to be off its lows a little bit. Barely clinging for life over here. Right? Don't forget, you have the WHO press conference in 45 minutes. Expect a reaction over there. I can't imagine it's positive news. I mean, I have no idea what type of influence the CCP, the Chinese Communist government, has over them, right? But we're about to find out. That could have been the catalyst. Thanks, Blair. Reb, so since we have some downtime, and this is a great time to talk about things. So I mean, two things. All right. So obviously, this is things that I've thought a lot about and researched a lot about. As far as the big boys, so big boys, I guess, would be pensions, right? There's already a pension in it's either North or South Carolina that last year when Bitcoin was trading at 3,500, that invested in their firemen's pension fund, right? That's just a regular pension fund, all right. Institutional money could not enter Bitcoin until just a few months ago when Backed is the owner of the New York Stock Exchange. ICE is the parent company of the New York Stock Exchange. They also now own the Backed futures on Bitcoin, and they've over the last 3 months are seeing record volume. That's all institutional money. Now, people as far as like big finance guys that have worked for like Cohn and Soros, um, a lot of them, and these guys, they don't have any type of friction between gold and Bitcoin. They're all about both of them, but they're really into Bitcoin, like really into Bitcoin, and that's new. That's just over the last 6 months. But if you watch like Real Vision, where a lot of like, you know, a lot of of straight finance guys go, that's even the founder Raul is huge Bitcoin bull, enormous Bitcoin bull, as well as a year ago you didn't see any of those guys talking about Bitcoin. That's all they talk about now. Those guys are fully on board. You have this large quant out of Amsterdam who has done the stock to flow research, groundbreaking research showing how the value of Bitcoin is derived off its scarcity, just as gold and silver are. Um, I think, and a lot of us have been thinking that as Bitcoin reaches $50,000, if it reaches $50,000, that's when a lot of the institutions have no choice but to FOMO into Bitcoin. They're going to be FOMOing into Bitcoin. And what that does speculatively as far as driving this is mania over here, right? This is not normal, this part of the bull market. Like, price overshoots to the downside and also to the upside. And why after the next halving, the price should be at $55,000, expected to go way higher on FOMO. Um, so the avenues for the big boys weren't, because if you own a fund, you can't hold your own Bitcoin. Now they have the parent exchange of the New York Stock Exchange, backed, run by a parent company, ICE, who could hold their Bitcoin for them. So now they could get invested into Bitcoin where before they couldn't. I expect over the next couple of years, you see large adoption by institutions. Now, I have no idea when the first fund will have adopted it, and I also think that countries, and eventually central banks will adopt it. I believe China was accumulating gold for many years without disclosing how much they had. Same thing's going to be with Bitcoin. A government that's accumulating Bitcoin, you know, odds are Russia, China, they're not going to disclose those holdings until they've basically built up their position. Euro is just holding off this support right now, and we're gonna have to see how the dollar reacts off the FOMC. I wouldn't be picking a bottom here or trading off of this support. The trend is down. I think you look to sell rallies. So look at the DXY first, and then we'll come back to the Euro US dollar. When we're trading down into this support over here, if we come back down into the support, you have to look at that as a buying opportunity. If we get down into that support over here, you want to see if it holds, and then if price comes back off it, that's the trade you want to take if it happens. Is it possible we trade a buck into this resistance before that happens? It's possible. Is it possible the support doesn't hold and we trade down into here? Yeah, but this is also a place to look for. This is all support. This is a place to look to buy as well. You're not looking to sell against the dollar. You shouldn't be looking to buy euros at this point. Euro's got to prove itself before you could think about buying. What does that mean right now? I think it has to get above all the way up here. About 100 pips higher, 170 pips higher before you would think, okay, maybe we need to be looking at buys. But under this area over here, there's a strong chance if you get up here, this is rejected. Chris, a lot of my closest friends are heavily invested into XRP, and but I think it's a scam. And the problem that I think it's a scam because basically the Ripple, the company, holds an enormous portion of the float, and they just keep selling to retail traders. And the problem they were looking to solve was cross-border settlements. Right now in the Swift banking system, it takes 3 to 5 days for transactions to be settled, and they were looking to settle them instantly. But central banks are looking to institute digital tokens right now that do the same thing, and they're not going to use XRP's technology if they could use their own. So I don't think they have any chance of. And banks are also doing the same thing. Banks are also using their own. JP Morgan is using their own. Throughout all their international branches. I don't really see XRP being able to get any type of market share from anyone. Yeah, I just don't know that it has a functioning utility. Yeah, and I know people are very highly emotional when it comes to XRP. And listen, like I said, some of my closest friends own a lot of it. Um, and it's quite possible if we get an alt season, and alt seasons in my mind occur about 6 months after the halving. When you see Bitcoin trading at new all-time highs, it's all over the media. Then people are like, "Oh, wait, that crypto thing, I want to get into it. What's cheap? Because I missed Bitcoin." And then it's possible that occurs about 6 months after the halving, and it's quite possible you see at that point you see Ethereum, EOS, Litecoin, XRP really trading up and mooning. It's possible it could happen, and it's also possible this time around that Bitcoin just engulfs more market share and there is no alt season. I mean, that's the risk you have to look out for. I'm not saying that's my base case. My base case is that there is another alt season. I differ with a lot of uh, you know uh, hardcore Bitcoiners who don't think that's going to happen. I do. I think there's going to be another alt cycle, um, but it remains to be seen. Yeah, Harshal, everyone in here is aware of my positions. Thank you. I mean, that's one of the main. I mean, obviously, anyway, like no one's competing with Bitcoin as far as any other cryptocurrency. Like XRP is solving a problem of cross border settlement. You know, Bitcoin is competing against first gold, but then ultimately the dollar. For money. And I think why Bitcoin works is because there is no central figure, right? They bought Mark Zuckerberg in before the House to testify before the Senate, but they couldn't find Satoshi, you know, and because there is no known founder, because he's not involved, because he hasn't even moved one of his coins, it really helps Bitcoin be Bitcoin. Looks like we're just stalling out here a little bit right now. Australian dollar still under pressure. You have that WHO announcement in about 35 minutes. Just heads up. Obviously, I believe that could cause further Japanese yen strength and could also cause the Australian dollar, even versus the US dollar, to fall down here and break down. But it looks like the DXY has come a little bit off over here, and that should just you know I don't see this making new highs before the FOMC. I'll put it that way. DJ, that's a good point too, and going even further, if there ever comes a day when the U.S. dollar gets devalued and whatnot, like the U.S. dollar is always going to have a huge place in the markets, right? It is possible that 30 years from now that the yuan is much stronger, or it could be Bitcoin, or it could be like the IMF digital central bank digital currency, backed by gold. It looks like China's getting ready to back the yuan digitally by gold. That's really going to help you know the yuan. um, there's always going to be a place for the dollar, especially domestically in the U.S. Right? And Bitcoin serves a huge purpose. You know, serves a huge utility. Bitcoin is the only thing in the world that you could cross borders with. You know, you you can't cross borders. With any type of wealth of gold because it'll be confiscated and taken. You know, you could not only send to whoever you want with Bitcoin, you could cross borders with Bitcoin. It's it's definitely has a purpose. I mean, there's a lot of places you go buy Bitcoin without big fees. It's kind of like similar to Forex, where the broker takes the spread, and the broker's just taking the spread on Bitcoin. Um, the only thing that I would not recommend, and I've done it, and it is the easiest, is I would not recommend um, using Coinbase. Coinbase is like uh, very much similar to Facebook. You have no chance of privacy using Coinbase. Just a heads up. Thing on my mind is 30 minutes to the WHO press conference. Rustin, I use I would look into using Kraken. So I want to check my FX book. I want to see if anyone that knows the float here on the pound, how traders lean into tomorrow's rate announcement are leaning as far as the pound is concerned. Right here on this is a small sample. It's about 50-50. And also for the pound Japanese yen, it's about 50-50. It's about 50-50 here too on my FX book. And then also about 50-50 here too. So it seems pretty evenly, pretty evenly spread out looking at those two numbers, those two sites. Naplap, what's going on? Glad to see you here. What's going on? We have in about 30 minutes the WHO press conference. Should be a pretty big catalyst for a continued move in risk. Gold up, Japanese yen down, Australian dollar down. But more importantly, we have the FOMC. Expect prices to be into the 2 o'clock rate decision, and more importantly, the press conference. Expect prices to be pretty tight within a range. Wow. I mean, I think they're going to get toasted, obviously. You all know my feeling on the Australian dollar right now in this current environment. Look at this. Look here on the U.S. dollar, Japanese yen. You have a lot of people uh, long, but look at the longs are underwater, 500 pips, and shorts 350. What's going on with people on the U.S. dollar, Japanese yen? They're just way off. Here too on the pound Japanese yen. This is insane. Yeah. Another avenue is also through FX Choice. They do charge if you deposit fiat and then convert it into Bitcoin. They do charge a 1.5% fee, but it would obviously be a lot quicker than in that situation. I would feel a lot more comfortable doing that than buying off of Coinbase. Yeah, there's no way I'm looking to sell the Australian dollar, US dollar here, although I do believe it continues going lower. Any type of retrace, if the Fed causes any type of dollar sell off, and you get an opportunity to look into over here or over here on the Australian dollar, US dollar, I think that's going to be a gift. Just like last night, any retraces was an opportunity to fade. Off the FOMC, any retrace will be an opportunity to fade, but there is the possibility we break down here uh, in the next 20 after the Hua announcement. If we do break down here, and then this look for this to hold as resistance also, even into the FOMC. Just keep looking for any retraces on the Australian dollar, but don't sell the lows. Don't sell the lows. Definitely, Chris. Good advice. I've used Coinbase too, so they've bought one of the most what's a really bad word that is like evil uh, chain analysis companies that basically tracks everything. So, like I said, think Facebook. Gold has just been so impressive. Again, this is right here. From this point on, the U.S. dollar has been on a rocket upwards, and at the same time, also gold. Here's the dollar since January 1st, just straight upwards, and with the strong dollar, gold up and gold. A lot of people, just going back, a year ago, 10 months ago, we're calling for a period where gold would be rising with a strong U.S. dollar. We could definitely say that we are in that right now, right? So, obviously our base case is the US dollar gets a lot stronger before it gets very, 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 very weak. And I have no idea the time frame for that. That probably includes um, you know, that depends a lot on the U.S. election, right? If Trump continues to be president, then the dollar probably remains strong longer, although he could have a lot of infrastructure spending. But if a social democrat is elected and they start, free college, free healthcare, free everything, then at that point, that could cause the dollar to come off a lot quicker. In either case, it looks like gold wins in the end. We have about boom, boom. We have about 20 minutes until we might see a little bit of price action. I'm gonna take a few minute break here. I'll be right back. Wow. Bazooka. What's going on here? So we got 13 minutes, more or less. Australian dollar still challenging this breakdown over here. It looks like the yen has just come off a tiny bit here, but I'm looking for an extension of the yen strength after the WHO announcement. I can't imagine that unless really the CCP got to them, that they come out and say that it looks like China's a, what's the worst thing that could happen is they come out and they say, and I mean this is obviously the best thing for listen, there's a lot of people suffering. We were praying for them sincerely last night. It's a really terrible thing. I don't know if anyone's seen the video of the province of, I believe it's Wuhan, and the people singing from the buildings because they're all inside their houses, singing from their buildings, for everyone to stay strong. It was really, really moving. Um, as far as risk is what I'm talking about. You could have the WHO come out and say that they have faith in the Chinese government to go ahead and fight this and keep it under control. The thing is that the official numbers they're giving are really alarming, really growing exponentially. God knows what the real numbers are, and this could become obviously, within just a few months, a worldwide crisis event. So hopefully, truth prevails here and transparency prevails about what the real situation is. Chris, have you ever heard the story of who was it that the who cornered the gold market? I mean the silver market. Something Brothers. And they were forced to sell their position by the US government. Hunt Brothers. Sanjay, Hunt Brothers. If no one's ever seen the story, I believe it's on The Truth Never Told, Hunt Brothers. If you Google the greatest truth never told, Hunt Brothers. It's a phenomenal story. Well, I have to say, any in a bull market, and I believe silver has entered a bull market. Any monthly down candles, are going to provide a really good buying opportunity. U.S. equities are back to mixed on the day. Um, Tesla up on the day. Let's check on our Beyond Meat. Ooh, we're coming to a conclusion of this pattern over here. So I can't explain this, and I have no idea why. But what I believe is the situation with the Mexican peso. I believe when you have a strong U.S. dollar, for whatever reason, the Mexican peso seems to appreciate. I don't know if that has to do with it being a type of funding currency with inside Latin America or not. And then when the dollar comes off, the dollar gains against the peso. Let's see if that happens on this. If the dollar comes off here, let's see if the dollar gains versus the peso. So we got a headline here with the World Health Organization is calling an emergency meeting on Thursday regarding the coronavirus. I don't know whether that means that the expected meeting is off in the next 5 minutes. All right, so the World Health Organization calls for an emergency committee meeting on Thursday. Press conference scheduled for 11 a.m. Is that today, or is that tomorrow? I'm not sure. The World Health they call for emergency. They're concerned about the impact the new coronavirus is having on the health system. So I'm not sure then if anyone has a little bit better information than me, whether or not the press conference scheduled at the top of the hour is now off and that's rescheduled for tomorrow, or they're both happening. That channel, Rustin, the greatest truth never told. This is saying that it's held for 11 o'clock a.m. today. I don't know if they rescheduled it for tomorrow or if it's going to be both. DXY is trading back towards its highs. All right. Had to look for clarity. The who postponed their update until tomorrow. Dollar pressure still running hot and hard. I see Blair, the Japanese yen coming off a little bit, but the Muse, I don't it's hard to tell whether or not that's actually going to be a change. I was just reading what the director himself said, and uh, basically he said that he's postponing the meeting to tomorrow. He said there is potential for further global spread, which is why I called the emergency council. He said that they've now seen 3 cases abroad of the virus being spread person to person, and that having that transmission of a person to person outside of China is alarming. Um, he ultimately goes on to say they made a mistake when they said that the risk was moderate, and also that China is doing a good job. There's also a photo of him shaking hands with President Xi, and he looks like he's meeting a celebrity. So whether or not China has any influence over their decision tomorrow, we'll see. But I think the fact that you're seeing person to person transmission of the virus outside of China is definitely alarming, and I don't know that they could just kind of brush that under the table. I understand it's on tomorrow at 11 o'clock a.m. that they postponed it. Excellent. Do you have a link for that, Blair? And here's a link from Twitter. The I believe this is the president of the World Health Organization. Just 25 minutes ago, tweeted this thread out with the latest update. All right. So that's so good. We have a definite that it's tomorrow at 11 a.m. Big deal. I highly recommend that thread I just posted there on Twitter from the World Health Organization president. He's that update. That whole thread was just posted 25 minutes ago, and although they're applauding China for doing their best to contain the situation, they are expressing serious concerns about it now spreading person to person outside of China. I, I don't know if that's right. Apple should not be going higher in this environment. Uh, Look at that. People just wanted to. This is probably the central bank of Switzerland coming in and snapping up all this Apple shares. Um, but that doesn't look good. That looks a little frightening. Um, let's keep an eye on what the equity market's reaction today to the Fed is. If they don't get a dovish Fed, let's see what happens. That could be a problem here for Apple, right? You get a gap down tomorrow, and this is like called the three island reversal, which is a gap up, a higher gap up, and then a gap down, leaving all these traders on the wrong side. I would not be surprised if that happens there on Apple. Definitely seeing the Japanese yen come off. What is this over the last 15, 20 minutes? And that's across the board on the Japanese yen. That's not just here on the Australian dollar. I look, any opportunity, any retraces in the Japanese yen, I believe is a opportunity to sell. All right, Len, this is talking about, this is Mark Yusko, phenomenal value investor. Says everyone realizes that why Apple buys back so much stock, right? Because the Fed is prohibited by law from buying back stock, from buying stock. So administration gives massive tax cuts to companies in exchange for commitment to buy stock and keep the S&P 500 rising. Stealth QE. So we have two big buyers of Apple, right? Apple itself, and then you have the Swiss National Bank printing money buying Apple. All right, everyone. We have the FOMC just a little later in the afternoon. I think this is a good point to end this session. I'm not sure about getting on later live. What are your feelings? Who's interested in getting on together? I think we break down to new lows. Whether that's uh, after the bank, Australian Central Bank meets next week on Monday or not. I think sometime in the next week or so, we're trading at new lows here. All right, I'll definitely be getting on as well then. Um, Probably right around about 5 minutes before the at 2 o'clock Eastern time, about 5 minutes before the decision, because the big thing is going to be the press conference. All right, it's not going to be the actual rate statement. It's going to be the press conference, and it's probably going to be during the question and answer part. But I'll jump on with y'all, and I'll send out an alert when I get live. Also through the Telegram. All right. I hope you all have a good rest of the morning, afternoon, wherever you are. Good night. And I'll see those who are able in just a little while for the FOMC. All right, everyone. Talk to you later.